What's up guys, TopTierYugioh here, and today I have a brand new ABC deck profile for you guys. This one is going to be post-November ban list, and so it really hurt having set rotation limited to 1 and Gofu as well, but I've updated the list and it's ready for this format, so let's go ahead and get into it. First we have 2 A's, 2 B's, and 2 C's. This is pretty standard, I think. I really prefer this ratio because you don't want to draw too many of them, so I think 6 ABC pieces is the perfect number. Sometimes I do consider playing more though, now that Spirals are playing DD Crow again, and having them DD Crow one of your pieces means that you can only summon 1 Buster at a time, which sucks, and so it wouldn't be terrible to play 3 of each, but I just prefer 2 of each right now. Next we have 2 gold gadgets and 2 silver gadgets. These are some of my favorite extenders in the deck because they work with a lot of your other engines, and they help you summon Akashic Magician, which is one of my favorite monsters right now, on top of just being very good too. They're also one of the easiest ways to make rank 4s, which have a lot of utility in this deck. From searching more ABC pieces to dealing with opposing boards, they're very important. 2 Symphonic Warrior guitars and 1 Mike's. Guitar is essentially Brilliant Fusion, and then Mike's is like Seraph Knight, except they're also really good to draw, and so unlike the Brilliant Fusion engine, you can draw these and still be a-okay, and so I do like this a lot, giving you additional normal summons and being an extender that you can use even if you don't draw Union Hanger. And so it's very important to have those because in this format with all these hand traps, a lot of times your hanger gets stopped, so having an extender like guitar helps a lot. 1 Destrudo, which is the major addition after Circuit Break. Destrudo opens up a lot of doors, giving you a lot more combos and a lot more consistency, and if you're interested in any of those combos using Destrudo, I will put a link to that in the top right corner of the screen, somewhere around here. So be sure to check that out when you get time, and I'd really appreciate it, or if you're just interested in those combos. But most Destrudo combos will let you make Ancient Fairy Dragon, which can search you more copies of Union Hanger. It can search you other field spells that you might be playing, such as Dragon Ravine, Dragonic Diagram, or whatever. The only downside to this card is that it costs half your life points, and in such a fast-paced game right now, half your life points is very, very costly. And so I do dislike that, but I do like the consistency that it does add to the deck. 1 Gofu, even though it's limited, I mean, it's still very, very good, and so I just wanted to include it as it's another extender still. Like, you just won't see it as often, but it is an extender, so drawing this with Union Hanger or Union Hanger and another piece is just really, really good. It might not be worth doing the full Ningarusu play like you used to be able to do before, but even just being able to make Decode Buster is strong. And then finally, to finish off the monsters, we have the God cards, we have Max C, and then we have 2 masterpieces, the True Draco Slaying King. And so I really think playing the True Draco engine is probably one of the best ways to play right now because it gives you a very powerful monster aside from Buster that you can make, because so many different players right now are playing cherries. They're playing cherries for Double Helix, they're playing cherries for Dante, and you need something to do when they cherries you pretty much. And I think Masterpiece is the perfect answer for that, and Masterpiece is also on its own, it's just a very strong monster that decks have trouble dealing with. For example, even Sleeper can't deal with Masterpiece, and that's crazy. Like, Sleeper is like the biggest card of the format. It has trouble with Masterpieces, so I really wanted to play it because I think Masterpiece is, again, just so strong, and it adds another layer of complexity to the deck. For the spell cards, we have 3 Union Hangers, 3 Terraformings, and 1 set rotation. These all guarantee that we have the maximum consistency in our deck. We have the highest potential of drawing Union Hanger, which we need for a lot of our combos. Like, drawing Union Hanger usually means you win the game. If you can draw it and resolve it, you probably win. So it's important to have as many copies of it in your deck as possible, and to have as many cards that search it as possible. For the other field spells, we have 3 Dragonic Diagrams and 1 Dragon Ravine. Diagram obviously helps with the True Draco engine, and Ravine helps with Destrudo. For even more consistency, 3 Pot of Desires, and I think this is necessary in ABC decks, because again, you have to get to Union Hanger, you have to get to your combo pieces, because if you don't want to just be playing like set B Pass versus Spirals, or versus BA or Trickstars or any of those decks right now. Like, you just can't not be able to combo, because if you can't combo, you're probably losing. Or if you are able to combo, or if your opponent does have disruption, you want to be able to draw into more extenders to play through it. And so it's very, very important just even getting those extra cards, and you have to play 3. And I hear a lot of players saying, like, you know, what if you banish all your Union Hangers? Well, that's not very likely to happen. Or what if you banish all your Bs or all your As or something? Well, you know what's more scary? Not being able to play the game. And so I'd really rather risk banishing all 3 of my, or all 2 of my A, B, or C pieces for a higher chance of drawing in the Hanger or Destrudo, or really any of those cards that I want to see at any given point in the time. 1 Foolish Burial for even more consistency. You can either send Destrudo, or you can just send individual missing ABC pieces. It's just pretty good, pretty versatile. 1 True Draco Heritage to go with the other True Draco cards. I chose to play this and not Disciples, and this being the only spell card I play, because of the fact that none of the other ones are very good at multiples. So I didn't want to play multiples of this because drawing multiples sucks. I didn't want to play this in Disciples because I don't play enough to make Disciples good, so Disciples sucks. And so I'm only playing this, and for the traps, just these two. So I want to be sure to have 3 different ones that are all good in different situations, just to give me the most versatility and utility out of that engine. And so 1 heritage for that reason. I also like that it lets you draw cards, because that does come up sometimes. Like being able to draw and then drawing into like a ravine is pretty broken. And then for the other spell cards, it's just 1 Raigeki, 2 Cyclones, and then Soul Charge. And so these all serve different purposes. So Raigeki is really good at going second, but Cyclones are also decent going second. Soul Charge is mainly for going first, but it also helps you play through a sleeper. So if they sleeper pop some of your monsters, you Soul Charge them all back, and then you have another play. The cool thing about Cyclone is it also can function as a trap, and so if you go first and have Cyclone, you can stop your opponent's resort or something, or you can stop their last resort. Or one really cool play is that if they don't have a resort, the field spell on the board, and they have sleeper last resort, they activate sleeper targeting itself, and then you play Cyclone banishing their last resort. So then sleeper destroys itself, 2 of your cards, but then because sleeper was destroyed, it forces them to blow up their whole board. And so that's something that does come up sometimes. So I do think Cosmic Cyclone is really good just as a trap itself, like stopping other field spells, and going second because you can stop real traps. You can stop Utility Wire if they play that, but they probably don't. But you can also do the aforementioned play where you hit last resort and cause them to blow their own board up. So Cyclone's really good. And then again, the only traps that I play are the 2 True Draco traps, 1 Return and 1 Apocalypse. Again, I just wanted 3 different ones because I didn't want to have multiples of any of them. And so like Apocalypse in either of the other 2 is really good because you can just destroy this and hit one of their monsters while halving the other's attack. Or if you destroy Heritage, you can destroy a spell or trap. Or you can even destroy Heritage to destroy Apocalypse to destroy a monster. So any combination of Apocalypse and another one gives you a play. Return is really good after you've made your play, or if you have multiple masterpieces, you could bring one back and use it as tribute fodder for the second one. And so I really felt that one of each one, except for Disciples, was a really good ratio. For the extra deck, let's start with 3 Buster Dragons, of course, the boy, Ancient Fairy Dragon, which we need for all of the Destrudo plays. For the Link monsters, we have, let's see, Akashic Magician, which is Bay. We have Ib, Bay number 2, Proxy Dragon, Decode, and Firewall Dragon. And so, one problem that I do dislike is that we don't have that many Link 3s that are good. And so it sucks having to make Decode sometimes because Decode points up, giving your opponent an extra field spell. Not field spell, but a Link zone. So if you're playing against Spirals and you give them an extra Link zone, like they're going to blow you out. Same with Firewall, but Firewall is usually only summoned in different situations, like when it's not in the extra monster zone, or if you have like a combo that forces you to, but it's usually good enough that it doesn't matter. So that kind of sucks. Akashic has the same issue, but Akashic is only a Link 2, which is nice. So if you just have like Gadget Piece, then you can make Akashic and that's cool. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with the Link lineup. I mean, sometimes I think about playing a second Decode Talker, but honestly it doesn't come up enough because like if you make 1 Decode Talker and Buster Dragon, usually you're not making a second Decode Talker. Like usually that wins you the game or you lose the game. Like it's very hard to make 2 Decode Talkers in one game. But one thing that's actually really cool that I like is you can summon Akashic Magician and then summon Decode or Firewall under it. So then because Akashic is co-linked, you can use Akashic's second effect to mill to the graveyard. And so, for example, if it's linked to a Decode Talker, you can mill 3. If it's linked to a Firewall, you can mill 4. And then sometimes you're going to be sending your Destrudo, or you can send your ABC pieces. Or even if you need a card, because it excavates them, and if you call it correctly, then you call a card, excavate. If you call it correctly, you get to add it to your hand. And sometimes you can just add cards to your hand that are really good because you play a lot of 3-ofs. And so sometimes I'll call something like a Pot of Desires, or maybe a Diagram. You can add a Hanger, a Terraforming. Like, you know what's in your deck, and so you know what 3-ofs are still in your deck. And usually those are the safest things to call when you're milling 3 to 4 cards. But it's very, very possible. And even if you don't get it right, milling like a Destrudo or an ABC piece is very, very good. And so it is possible to make these plays. Usually if you have like Gadget Gofu and something, Gofu is usually what you need, or Soul Charge, because this is like 6 Link materials, which is a lot. But this is only 5, which is actually doable from your standard combos if you open a Gadget. Because usually the only way to make this is with Gadget and an ABC piece, and use those ABC pieces to sort of Link climb into the Decode, and usually it'll get you there. And then the last things we play in the extra deck are disease monsters. So we have 1 Direwolf, 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Tsukuyomi, 1 Gear Gigant, and then I apologize for the proxy, but 1 Baguska. And so these I think really cover all the bases pretty much. And so like these are like your extenders more or less. Like this gets you more machine monsters. This gets you more cards to your hand in general. This deals with any cards. This deals with spells or traps. And Baguska deals with monsters. So this gives you a lot of utility out of your rank 4s. So I really like this lineup a lot. The only other thing that I was really considering was a where is it? Abyss Dweller. And that's because a lot of people are playing BA now, and it sort of hurts Spirals a little bit. But Baguska and Tornado Dragon hurt Spirals a lot more. And we're playing ABC, so we're not really worried about BA. Like, we have Buster Dragon to banish their stuff, or Firewall to bounce them back, or Akashic to bounce things. Like, you know, we don't necessarily need Dweller in a lot of cases. Now, other options would actually be to play Ningirisu, because we do play Gofu, and so we have the ability to do the Gofu, like, Ib Ningirisu draw card play. And if you're interested in that combo, we'll put a link to that in the top right corner of the screen. So definitely check that out if you're interested in that combo. But since Gofu's at 1, I'm sort of iffy on actually playing it. But I do think it's also good because if you make multiple links, you can make this and send your opponent's cards to the graveyard, clearing their board, and helping you set up your endgame. And so even if you can't make the whole Ib Ningirisu play and draw, you can still make Ningirisu clear their boards, and you know, that's just good. And so I'd probably consider that. Other options would be Topologic Bomber Dragon or Borreload, just because they're good generic Link 4s. Probably, I mean, Borreload's good, but it is hard to make in this deck. Topologic's a little bit easier to make, but it's not necessarily as good. But Topologic does turn your Buster tag out into a, into a board wipe, which is crazy. And that board wipe can also trigger the ABC pieces that you summon, so that's an option too. So I really think that this last card is up to you. So let me know in the comment section what you would be playing. And then for the side deck, which is very dependent on your local meta, I want to add in, but this is what I'm currently siding right now. And I'm siding, let's see, an Artifact Engine. So 3 Sanctums, 1 Lancia, 1 Scythe. I like this a lot because Sanctum and Lancia keeps you from getting evenly matched. Scythe is obviously Scythe, it does what it does. Keeping your opponent from going into the extra deck, very good. Next I play 1 Imperial Order. Imperial Order, I just really like being able to shut my opponents off from spell cards. Another option would actually be, why don't I just play Spellcaster? Secret Village of Spellcaster. This does the same thing, but this is actually searchable off Ancient Fairy Dragon, which is cool. But I guess you could play either. Like, this requires you to be able to combo, so if your opponent has Disruption, then you can't get this. But this, you know, you can just draw and have. But you can also draw and have this. But if you draw this, usually it's, you know, if you draw this and you can't combo, you can't make Ib, which is the only Spellcaster. But they're both pretty good options. Let's see, I also play Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, and then with that I play 1 Dogoran, 1 Gameciel, 1 Godarla, 1 Kumungus. So because I do play Desires, I want to have as many Kaijus in deck, so in case I don't banish my Desires, banish my Kaijus and draw into Slumber or something like that. So I just want to have a lot of Kaijus. They're also just all good going second, and multiples isn't that bad because having multiples just means giving yourself a Kaiju to use with your ABC combos. And now that I actually think about it, I should replace Godarla with the Machine Kaiju, like the one that's 3300 in Machine. I should be playing that one for sure, because if you give yourself that one, it's a machine you can use to make a Akashic Magician, which is actually very cool considering you can like Slumber, give your opponent a Kaiju, give yourself the 3300 Machine one, make a Akashic and bounce the other one back to your hand so you can Kaiju them again, and then of course still have a Akashic Magician. And if you had Hanger with that, then of course you got all kinds of ABC effects from doing that. And so that's a really cool play. But then we also side 1 Kyoto Waterfront, and so we can actually search this off Ancient Fairy Dragon and do a few combos to summon a Gameciel going first, which gives us a lot of defense. A lot more defense than we would normally have, so I really like that play a lot. Then there's also 1 more Dark Hole as another card for going second, because a lot of times you just need more than one form of going second. Like, you just can't have these and that be it. I think you need a lot more sometimes. And so this isn't 15 cards, but I think the last couple of cards are really up to you and depend on your local meta. If you have like Ash Blossoms, I would be playing that in the main deck, and probably something in the main and the side, or Ghost Ogres would be a decent side. Ghost Ogre's not bad. Ghost Reaper's decent, I guess. I'm sort of on the fence about that. Another option would of course be a Secret Village, like I said. You can play Barriers for stopping pendulums. If you have evenly matched, that's good. Magnet Reverse is good against System Down, but not really good against evenly matched. So I'm on the fence about this. People aren't really siding System Down anymore, but if they do, you know, this is good for it. So again, it just depends on your local meta. But alright guys, this has been my ABC deck profile updated for the November format. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Leave them in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate it. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm really enjoying this deck right now. I think it's a lot of fun and also a very decent choice for the format right now. Like, it does have some good and bad matchups, but ultimately it's going to give you a pretty good chance to win. And so let me know what you think. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.